Ethan had always thought of himself as careful with his words, but today that idea had been turned upside down. The Aurora Vanguard hummed quietly as it sailed through the endless black of space, stars streaking past its observation windows. Ethan was in the ship's engineering bay, working alongside Lyra, the Calirian warrior who had become both a challenge and a mystery to him. She towered over most humans, her lithe yet powerful form encased in the exosuit that augmented her already impressive strength. It had started simply enough. Lyra needed adjustments to her exosuit for the next planetary survey, and Ethan, as one of the ship's top engineers, was responsible for calibrating it. He knelt by the control panel, eyes scanning readings, while Lyra flexed and tested the suit's joints. Every movement she made was precise, controlled, and shockingly graceful for someone so large and strong. Ethan's mind, as always, had wandered. "I have to admit," he muttered to himself quietly, "she moves. She's amazing, like a predator and a dancer at the same time. And, wow, that figure." He froze mid-thought, realizing too late that his words had escaped his lips. The sound of his own voice filled the bay, and he could see Lyra turn her head, her eyes narrowing slightly. Ethan's stomach dropped. She hadn't reacted with immediate anger, but her stillness was worse. It was the kind of silence that could crush a man without a single word. I mean, Ethan stammered, realizing that he had accidentally spoken aloud what should have remained an internal thought. His mind raced as he tried to come up with a plausible excuse. But every possible explanation sounded worse than the last. Lyra's gaze held him, unreadable and steady. Ethan felt like a small child being judged by a giant, though she didn't move closer. Instead, she leaned lightly on her exosuit's console, crossing her arms. Ethan's mind went blank, and he could feel the heat rising in his cheeks. "Ethan," Lyra said finally, her voice calm but firm. "I heard what you said." Ethan's eyes widened. He had expected anger, or at least some kind of scolding. Instead, she paused, letting the words hang in the air, then continued. "And I want to see if you are as capable in action as you are in commentary." Ethan blinked. He had no idea what she meant, but he knew one thing. This was not going to be a conversation. Capable in action?" he asked cautiously. Lyra gave a small nod. "If you are going to speak your thoughts so freely, then you must prove yourself. I will set tests for you, physical, mental, strategic. If you can succeed, then perhaps your observations are justified." Ethan gulped. He wasn't exactly afraid of Lyra, but he was acutely aware of the power and skill she possessed. He had seen her in training simulations before, and even the ship's combat androids struggled to match her precision. Yet beneath the panic, something else stirred: curiosity, challenge, and maybe a strange sense of excitement. "All right," he said finally, straightening up. "I accept your challenge." Lyra's eyes glimmered, and she moved to the simulation area of the engineering bay. "Good. We will begin immediately. Follow my instructions carefully. Failure is not an option." The first test was deceptively simple. Lyra had Ethan lift, rotate, and align components of the exosuit's joints while she demonstrated movements. He quickly realized that even small mistakes could result in dangerous misalignments. His fingers shook slightly as he adjusted the tiny controls, and he could hear Lyra watching every motion. "Faster," she said, her tone neutral but commanding. "Precision is more important than speed, but do not waste time." Ethan nodded, focusing all his attention. His mind raced as he remembered every detail of the exosuit's schematics. Step by step, he corrected each adjustment, aligning the hydraulic supports and calibrating the sensors. Lyra tested each movement after his adjustments, flexing and bending, and he held his breath with every motion. When she finally stopped, she turned to him. Acceptable, she said, almost as if she had lowered her standards slightly. But that is only the first stage. Ethan exhaled. One stage completed, but he already felt the sweat forming at the back of his neck. The second test moved him out of the engineering bay and into the ship's training deck. Lyra had prepared an obstacle course designed to test speed, agility, and tactical thinking. Humans could do it, but the course was clearly optimized for her species' physiology. Ethan's heart sank slightly as he saw the first obstacle, a high vertical climb followed by a narrow balance beam suspended over a simulated energy pit. You will navigate the course while carrying these weighted packs, Lyra explained. Think quickly, move decisively. Your path is not fixed. Adapt as needed. Ethan's fingers brushed the pack straps as he adjusted them over his shoulders. Weighted packs made movement slower, but he was determined. He had always relied on his wits and ingenuity, and this was his chance to prove it. He began the climb, gripping the textured wall with hands that shook slightly under the strain. Midway, he realized the packs shifted awkwardly, threatening to throw him off balance. His mind raced. He remembered a trick he had used as a boy climbing trees back home. Twisting his body, he shifted the weight forward, using momentum to continue upward. Lyra watched silently, her posture rigid as Ethan reached the top. A small part of him felt a surge of pride, but there was no time to relax. The balance beam awaited. He stepped cautiously, testing each placement before committing his weight. Halfway across, the beam wobbled. His heart pounded, but his instincts guided him. He adjusted, bent his knees, and continued step by step until he reached the other side. Lyra's voice cut through his relief. Interesting approach. Unconventional but effective. Ethan blinked. Was that praise? He nodded, too winded to speak, and followed her to the next challenge, a simulated combat scenario. Now, you will demonstrate strategic thinking, Lyra said. A threat approaches. You must protect the objective while managing limited resources. Do not rely on strength alone. Ethan surveyed the virtual environment. Drones simulated hostile aliens, moving unpredictably. His mind shifted into high gear. He deployed the defense turrets, adjusted energy shields, and positioned simulated barriers to funnel the attackers. He moved with deliberate precision, anticipating the drone's patterns, redirecting fire, and maintaining his own safety. Lyra's eyes never left him. She had a faint, almost imperceptible smile, but her focus was unwavering. Ethan realized that she wasn't just testing his skill, she was testing his mind, his patience, and his ability to adapt under pressure. The simulation ended with Ethan having successfully defended the objective without a single breach. He exhaled, exhausted, but exhilarated. Lyra approached him slowly, the silence stretching between them like a tangible weight. You are resourceful, she said finally. Humans are underestimated for a reason, but you demonstrate why your kind survives against impossible odds. Ethan's chest swelled with pride. Her words were more than approval, they were respect. And respect from Lyra, a Calirian warrior, was not given lightly. He swallowed nervously, remembering the original comment that had started this entire ordeal. So, I guess that wasn't a complete disaster? He asked, forcing a nervous smile. Lyra's lips curved slightly, almost imperceptibly. Perhaps not. But remember, Ethan, words have power. They can inspire or embarrass. You have shown skill in both, unintentionally. Ethan laughed, a short, relieved sound. I'll try to keep my thoughts to myself next time. Lyra's gaze softened, and she straightened her stance. Do that. And yet, you have proven that humans are unpredictable in ways that can be surprisingly effective. Ethan felt a rush of pride and excitement. He had faced a formidable challenge, survived it, and earned recognition from someone who had seemed impossible to impress. More importantly, he had learned that even mistakes could lead to extraordinary opportunities. As he left the training deck, he glanced back at Lyra. She was adjusting her exosuit, her movements precise and confident. And somewhere deep down, Ethan felt a spark of anticipation. He didn't know what the next test might be or what further surprises awaited him, but he knew one thing. Life aboard the Aurora Vanguard had just become far more interesting. And as the stars streaked past the windows of the ship, Ethan realized that sometimes even an accidental comment could open the door to something beyond belief. The next day, aboard the Aurora Vanguard, Ethan woke with a mixture of anticipation and nervous energy. The events of the previous day had left him shaken, but also exhilarated. Lyra's unexpected response to his blunder, her challenge, and her praise had made him realize that even a careless word could lead to a test of skill and ingenuity. He wondered what she had planned next. As he entered the ship's main training deck, Lyra was already waiting. She was stretching, her exosuit humming softly with power. She looked different in the morning light filtering through the observation windows, less a warrior preparing for combat, more a force of nature observing him with keen interest. "Today, we will increase the difficulty," Lyra said, her voice steady. "You have shown creativity and courage, but now you will face challenges that test your decision-making under pressure and your ability to act without hesitation." Ethan nodded. He tried to mask his nerves with a casual air, though his palms were slightly sweaty. The first challenge was a puzzle room, a complex simulation of an alien ruin designed to test problem-solving under physical strain. The room was filled with panels, moving platforms, and energy barriers. The goal was simple: retrieve a data module from the center of the room and exit without triggering alarms. Ethan stepped forward, surveying the room carefully. The platforms shifted rhythmically, and the energy barriers flashed on and off in unpredictable patterns. He could hear Lyra's footsteps behind him, silent and deliberate. He took a deep breath and began, moving quickly yet carefully. Each step required timing and precision. A misstep could trigger an alarm or cause a platform to collapse. Ethan relied on his instincts, honed from years of engineering and hands-on problem-solving. He noticed subtle patterns in the movement of the platforms and calculated the timing needed to jump safely from one to another. Halfway through the room, a barrier activated unexpectedly, blocking his path. Ethan paused, analyzing the situation. He realized he could use the reflection of the lights on the metal floor to anticipate the barrier's cycle. Using his clever observation, he timed his movements perfectly and slipped through before the barrier could activate fully. Lyra watched silently, her expression unreadable but her eyes sharp. Ethan felt her presence like a steady weight behind him, and it made him focus even more. Reaching the data module at the center, he picked it up and began the return path. One of the platforms began to tilt dangerously, threatening to throw him off balance. Instinctively, he adjusted the weights in his pack and shifted his body just as he had on the obstacle course the day before. He landed safely on solid ground, a surge of satisfaction coursing through him. When he finally reached the exit, Lyra was waiting. She did not speak immediately, but studied him quietly. "Impressive," she said at last. "You think quickly under pressure. That is a strength of your kind." Ethan felt a rush of pride, but did not let it show. He knew this was only the first stage. The next challenge tested agility and teamwork. Lyra had set up a simulated rescue mission. The scenario involved retrieving a stranded crew member from a damaged section of the ship while navigating obstacles and avoiding simulated hazards. Ethan was paired with Lyra for this mission, which meant he had to work directly alongside her in a high-pressure environment. They entered the simulation, and alarms blared immediately. Ethan had to think quickly. He directed the energy shields and identified safe paths, while Lyra moved with fluid precision, clearing obstacles and stabilizing unstable sections of the simulated ship. At one point, A section of the floor beneath Ethan collapsed in the simulation. He reacted instantly, leaping to a nearby platform while Lyra extended her hand, a gesture that was more instinctive than formal. He grabbed it, and together they landed safely on solid ground. "You have quick reflexes," Lyra said, her voice calm. "Most humans would hesitate, but you act decisively." Ethan smiled faintly, grateful for her recognition. He realized that her respect was growing not because of strength or size, but because he used his mind, courage, and adaptability, traits that humans often underestimated. The final test was the most challenging. Lyra led Ethan to the ship's tactical simulation room, where a full-scale scenario awaited. Alien drones were advancing toward a critical human colony outpost, and Ethan had to devise a plan to defend it with limited resources. The simulation was designed to mimic real-life unpredictability, with multiple threats, environmental hazards, and shifting conditions. Ethan took a deep breath. He could feel the weight of responsibility, even knowing it was a simulation. He quickly analyzed the terrain and resources available: energy barriers, defense turrets, and limited drone support. He positioned the defenses strategically, predicting the enemy's approach. He issued commands and adjusted tactics as the drones moved, keeping the defense intact while minimizing damage. Halfway through, the drones launched an unexpected maneuver, targeting a vulnerable section of the colony. Ethan's mind raced. He remembered an engineering trick he had used on the ship before, redirecting power from one system to another to boost efficiency temporarily. Applying that same logic here, he reallocated energy to the shields and deployed a decoy to lure the drones away. The strategy worked perfectly, neutralizing the threat before it reached critical infrastructure. Lyra observed the entire sequence, her expression unreadable at first. When the simulation ended, she stepped forward. "You have performed beyond expectation," she said. "Your human ingenuity, combined with courage and quick thinking, has achieved what most would consider impossible." Ethan exhaled, relief and pride mingling in equal measure. He had completed every challenge, and Lyra's words confirmed what he had begun to realize. Humans, despite their size and perceived limitations, possessed qualities that could outmatch even the most disciplined warriors of other species. Lyra's gaze softened, and for the first time, she allowed a small smile. "You have proven that even careless words can lead to remarkable actions, Ethan. Your mind and spirit are beyond belief." Ethan's heart pounded. He had expected a reprimand, embarrassment, or at least a stern warning, but instead he had earned admiration and respect. He felt a warmth of accomplishment he had never experienced before. Lyra continued, "Your species is underestimated often, but today you have shown why humans survive, adapt, and thrive even in situations that seem impossible. That is a strength worth recognizing." Ethan nodded, trying to find the right words. "Thank you, Lyra. I didn't expect, well, this. I never imagined that an accidental comment would lead to this." She tilted her head slightly, studying him. "Humans are unpredictable, yes, but sometimes unpredictability is a gift. You turned a moment of weakness into a demonstration of strength. That is admirable." Ethan laughed softly, the tension of the past days finally releasing. "I guess being human has its advantages after all." Lyra's eyes glimmered with amusement. "Indeed. And perhaps there is more to your kind than I initially thought. Strength alone does not define a warrior. The mind, courage, and creativity are equally important." Ethan realized that the lessons he had learned extended far beyond the training exercises. He had discovered that respect was earned through action, courage, and adaptability, not just through words or appearances. He had also learned that mistakes could open doors to unexpected opportunities and that trust and admiration could be forged even in awkward situations. As the day ended, Lyra and Ethan stood in the observation deck, watching the stars streak past the ship's windows. The Aurora Vanguard sailed steadily toward its next destination, carrying humans and allies into unknown worlds. Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose and pride. He had faced a formidable challenge, survived it, and emerged stronger, not just physically, but in confidence and spirit. Lyra turned to him, her expression serious but not unkind. "Ethan, you have shown that humans are more than they appear. I underestimated your kind, but now I will not make that mistake again." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight and significance of her words. He knew that his journey with the Calirians and on the Aurora Vanguard had only just begun. The universe was vast, full of challenges and opportunities, and he was ready to face them head-on. For the first time, Ethan truly understood what it meant to be human in a galaxy full of alien power and strength. It was not just physical prowess or advanced technology that made humans remarkable. It was their courage, adaptability, creativity, and unyielding spirit. And in that moment, standing beside Lyra, he knew that even a careless comment could lead to something extraordinary, something beyond belief. The stars continued to streak past as the ship moved forward, carrying Ethan and Lyra toward the unknown. And as the vast expanse of space stretched before them, Ethan realized that he had not only survived the tests, he had grown, learned, and proven that humanity, even in the smallest ways, could shine brighter than anyone had imagined. In the quiet hum of the Aurora Vanguard, a new chapter began. Ethan and Lyra had forged a bond based on respect, skill, and the recognition of humanity's unique strengths. The galaxy was vast, and challenges awaited. But with courage and ingenuity, even the impossible could be achieved. And for Ethan, that accidental comment had led to an experience and a connection that he would never forget.